And with that, we'll jump on in. All right, so I want to run through our agenda real quick. We'll be going through our typical welcome and introduction, our roll call. Bernice will be presenting a phase 2 update, sharing some project updates there. And then Adriana will be jumping in to share some of our station configuration updates. And Bernice will also share a little brief sneak peek into our business resource program update. And then Erica Rokes will also be sharing some early construction activity updates to look forward to. And then, as a tradition in our usual February CWG meetings, I will be going through our 2024 CWG work plan that I sent out last week. And then we'll be reviewing that together just to make sure that we're all on the same page and have a guide for our year ahead. And then, due to Fred Buzo, who is part of our downtown Diridon CWG and was our previous chair. He has since left our group, but we're looking for a downtown Diridon chair to fill in his role. So please keep an eye out for that. We'll be presenting an update there, but do think about potentially taking on that opportunity to partner with us. And then we'll close off the meeting with our typical CWG member report out and next steps. So a lot of different items on our agenda today. So with that, I do want to open it to our members here in the room. If you could say your name and organization if you are here. So I think Adina, I think I saw you. Do you want to say hi?
Yeah,
hey.
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And I'm going to be off camera a little bit, but I will be paying attention. Adina Levin with Friends of Caltrain.
Awesome. Thanks, Adina. And then Alan, I think I saw you as well.
Yep, Alan Williams of the Campus Community Association, CCA, or more commonly known as Naked Park.
Awesome. Thanks for joining. And I don't think I saw Bert or Carol. Charlie.
Hi guys, Charlie Foss, CFO at San Jose State. It's good to be back with the team.
Thanks for joining us, Charlie. And Chris.
Chris Morrissey with the San Jose Arena Authority.
Hey, Chris.
Hey.
I don't think Dana's here, nor is Edgar. And then Elizabeth did mention she'll be hopping on late, but she's planning on joining. Don't see James or Jeffrey or Jose. Jim, see you're on. And if you're speaking, you're muted on your end. Okay, we can circle back if your audio is not working.
Jim Goddard, Jim Goddard, I will be muted.
Yeah, no worries. Hi, Jim. And then Kristen, I see that you're on as well.
Hi, everyone. Kristen Brown. I'm the Vice President of Government Relations for the Silicon Valley Leadership Group. Good to see you all.
Hi, Kristen. Thanks for joining. And I don't think I see Larry or Mike, but I think I did see Nate.
Hey, everybody. Nate LeBlanc, San Jose Downtown Association.
Hi, Nate. And I don't think I see Ron Gonzalez, but I do see Tony.
Hi there, everybody. Tony Miranda, formerly the interim president of the Chamber of Commerce for San Jose. Excited to bring in our new president and CEO, Leah Tennisketter, but I will be representing the Chamber on this committee still, as I still chair the Housing and Land Use Committee. So doing that.
Awesome. Thanks, Tony. All right. Thank you all for joining, for those of you who made it. And I just want to jump into our upcoming meetings. So as you well know, we do have our 4 quarterly meetings that we have. So our next one is scheduled for May 14th. I'll send out updates if that changes. And then I did want to give an overview. There's a lot of project related meetings happening on our radar, especially in our board of directors, whether they be the steering committee or board of directors meeting. So there's a lot with regards to our business resource program, providing an update there. Also with regards to our early works packages, So there's a long list of meetings. I won't go too much into detail, but I will be sharing these slides with you, and sending updates as they come up. So keep those on your radar. And then with that, I'm going to pass it off to Bernice to provide us a phase 2 update.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. And we can go to the next slide. So wanted to give a little background. You may have been hearing about this Federal Transit Administration risk assessment in the news. So 2 weeks ago, week of January 16th, we, lots of the BART phase 2 project team met with representatives from the Federal Transit Administration, mainly their FTA headquarters region 9, and with the project management oversight consultant, the acronym PMOC, you may hear now and then. That is a consulting agency that sort of acts like an auditor for the project, like is part of the application project to get federal funding. The FTA engages this PMOC and we meet with them regularly. We meet with them once a month and go through the entire project activities and every major milestone that the projects reach, look at risk and everything. So it's ongoing, but this risk assessment is kind of a culmination of everything. We go through all the risk and potential risk with the FTA and PMOC, and then they take that cost estimate that we had done, the 12.2 billion, and then they look at that and they look at risk, like risks that were previously identified. They classify them like, did we assign that an adequate level of risk? Are there other risks? I mean, I think we were fairly aligned with those risks, but they may assign something more risk than we had assigned it or less and have a different risk. But for the most part, most of the risks were aligned. So they then add that if there's any risk that they added associated that like might impact the schedule or something that might cost more, like things like, I think it's on the next slide, like unforeseen utilities or potential risk to historic buildings or something like that. And that's how they come up with that final cost. And then that's the cost that we use for our FTA application for New Starts funding. And next slide, please. So these are some of the identified risks that they identified. West Portal TBM launch facility, that is the big shaft that we're going to construct. You know, we ordered the TBM in November. It takes about 1.5 years to get together, and then they like drop this TBM and reassemble it, the materials, in this big huge shaft, and that's where they're going to launch it. So that's key to launching the TBM and starting construction there. I think I mentioned unanticipated damage to historic buildings, structures, or utilities. The labor environment can be assigned extra risk right now, right? There's a huge demand for labor and the construction costs are high and cost of labor right now. So they add risk to things like that. They might look at things like any delays in testing and commission. We did allow very ample time in this project for testing and commissioning. And then they look at like, how is the project staffed? You know, what's the level of expertise? Like they looked at all our bios, they looked at all the experience behind that to make sure we have the team and management capacity to deliver this project. So there is a significant, I know that there is this now the steering committee, but throughout every phase of the project, like there has been significant oversight of this project. Next slide, please. These are the next steps to get to that FFGA, which we have a goal of like late November of this year, right around the Thanksgiving holiday. We'd be happy with anything before the end of the year. This assessment that the FTA is doing with their PMOC is supposed to be done in the middle of this month. And then we use that number, like I said, and we request to get into the next phase. There's various phases to get to that FFGA. So we then take that information and apply to get into what they call engineering, New Starts engineering. That's kind of the last phase before you get funded. And we anticipate on hearing if we get into that phase like this spring, May, June. And then once we get into that, we then submit our formal application, like to get the funding we're asking for. And then it's several weeks for them to process that and say, yay, you're getting the money, which we hope for. So in an effort to do everything and anything we can between now and November. We're really heightening up our advocacy efforts. Like we need everyone to hear all from our local leadership and our community-based organizations. We need everyone to raise up to those decision makers that have influence in Washington about how important this project is. So we're going to start doing several efforts. Some of them are frequent trips to Washington by some of the project leadership, GM, and our new Mega Chief Project Officer. Also doing these kind of grass level meetings with some of you and other key stakeholders that can help raise that message up and just really get everyone to know more about the project and the benefits, and use that to kind of raise up the importance of this project and benefits all the way up at every level. So we're going to be starting doing a breakfast series. Some of you will be getting some calls or maybe asking if you have any other suggestions of who might be good to attend these, looking at individuals or organizations that also maybe have government relations staff and might have contacts, so we can really have the message coming from all levels of how important this is. Next slide, please. Talked a little bit about the project being in the news. There's been several news articles on the project in the last couple weeks. One of them was following the Auditor General's report that they had done. And there was questions about the project, the viability, the transparency, the communications. As our Chief Mega Officer had stated, like we're proceeding, you know, there's been lots of questions about single bore, twin bore. The project that we're working on, the project that we ordered the TBM for, is for the single bore project. That's the project that's been environmentally cleared. That's the project that both the BART board and our board have directed us to advance. And so that's the project we are pursuing. I think one of the recent articles talked about, well, what if we stop that is and didn't go all the way to Santa Clara? That is a different project. We cannot do that with this project. All the environmental analysis, everything's been designed with a 4-station, 6-mile project. So any change to that would bring significant delay to delivering the project. So our construction outreach management program, just wanted to touch base on sort of how we communicate, because there was some information in the report that there needed to be heightened communications. And really, I believe that was more sort of at like a higher level from the general manager and the program chief. This is what we in external affairs do, and that is our construction outreach management program. And really that is about how the external affairs team on the project communicates with all stakeholders at every level about the project, the details of the project. And we started this early when we're in the planning phase. There's 2 elements. We have what's called the construction education and outreach plan. And there's 2 phases of that. There's the phase that while we're in the planning process and we have a conceptual project, how we outreach and communicate, get input from stakeholders. And then we're just getting ready to basically implement the part of that plan, which is phase 2, when we start going into construction. And when we do get to the point of construction, we also implement our construction transportation management plans. And we worked a significant amount of time with the city of Santa Clara and city of San Jose for our first construction transportation management plan, which is for the early works that will happen at the Santa Clara station and yard. And that's where the initial project construction and preparation activities are going to occur to launch the tunnel boring machine. So we had lots of stakeholder input, worked a lot with the cities, worked with the community, did a presentation in the city of Santa Clara, had a public meeting to get input, presented to the councils to get approval for these plans, and now we're implementing that plan. And the last part of our program is emergency services coordination. We coordinate with all the emergency services to make sure that they can be responsive during construction and that they're very aware of any kind of lane closures, reroutes, or anything like that. So just kind of wanted to like talk about, because there was some indications and conversation that there wasn't plans in place for communications on the project, but the comp is an extensive plan and identifies all the means and methods and stakeholders and timing for communications during milestones. So these are the elements of the construction education and outreach plan that I had referenced, that we have the 2 phases. That includes the general outreach, stakeholder engagement, also includes our business resource program, which I'm going to go into a little more detail later. Placemaking and activation, like that's signage and things like that. And then on the radar, that's how we talk about messaging, and we coordinate with other organizations that are doing work or have project in the area. So the design review committees, this is an environmental requirement and commitment, and we have design review committees for each of the station areas. A couple of you may actually be on those, and representatives from both cities and community organizations and different business associations are represented on the design review committees. And these individuals on the committee basically give us feedback on the aesthetic elements of the stations. It's more about how the station's perceived and viewed. The BART facility requirements really dictate the functionality of the station and how the layout of all the systems and equipment is. But the design review committees comment and provide input on select visual elements. So like we're looking at facades, treatments for garage, how a plaza might be laid out, where public art will go, plantings and landscaping, benches and things like that, lighting. Those are the types of things we're discussing in the DRCs. We had our first series of DRCs back in 2021, and then we are partway through our series. We advanced the Santa Clara station because there were significant changes to that station and how the station was laid out. So we did that one earlier, and now in the spring, starting in April, we are going to engage the other 3 DRCs for the next phase to look at those other facility aspects that we're going to work on. So this was what I just said. In 2021, we got input that was needed for requests for proposals, and then this year and end of last year, we resurged the design review committees. So these are the types of things for each of the stations. And I don't know why, but oh, there we go. My slides were cutting off. The downtown San Jose station, we're going to be looking at the ceiling and exterior marquee and station signage. We'll be looking at architectural and aesthetic treatments of the east emergency ventilation shaft. And you'll see exactly where that is when Adriano goes over that station site plan. We're looking at the exterior and interior finishes, floors, and like I mentioned, locations for art. Very similar at the Diridon station, basically the same features at that station. Santa Clara, these 3 elements at the top, these were related to significant changes. The Santa Clara station previously, the way it was designed, coming from either the west or the east, passengers would need to go up and over a set of tracks and drop back down into the center platform, which was between the 2 BART tracks. They'd also have to go, if they're coming from the east side, over some storage tracks for the trains. The station was redesigned, so that's like an end loading station. So now passengers basically board at grade, and there's no up and down movements going up escalators, upstairs, or up an elevator. So it greatly improved the passenger experience, but it did change some aspects of the facility. So there's now a station entrance canopy that they weighed in on. There's a platform canopy configuration, and then there's the parking structure and how that integrates with the new building. So they weighed in on that. And then the other aspects are similar to what we're going to be working. So that's why we advanced that committee before the others. And then 20th Street, Little Portugal, pretty much the same things for that review that'll happen between April and May as the other 3 stations. This is our schedule for the April through May for the next series of meetings, and just wanted to keep you looped in on that. And then the last part of all of this, once the committees weigh in, we will be presenting this information to the public. We did that with the first series. We did like pop-ups at each station area, and then we did some online displays of what the stations would look like, and had members of the public provide their input so that we could then incorporate all of that into the station designs.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bernice, for presenting that phase 2 update. I do want to open up the floor if anyone has any questions. I do see that Adina had asked if the Santa Clara materials could be shared. And yes, I will send out an email following our meeting today. So, Tony, I see that your hand is raised.
Yeah, I was just wondering, is it too late to get on to the design review committee, specifically the downtown station one?
That's a possibility. We're just starting. We haven't started the next series. So I don't see, I mean, we do have members, but I think we could accommodate one more if there is interest. Certainly, I can double check on that. I don't think it limits us in our environmental commitment to how many members we have. So if you are interested, or if you know someone that you think would be valuable, the individual needs to represent an entity related to the station. That is the only requirement. Like it can't be an architect that just wants to get on it or something. But if like for you, like, you know, your relationship to the chamber or whatever, right, then you're representing an entity in the area.
Yeah,
so yeah, that's the only requirement, right? Kristen, I don't want to, you've got that list down, right?
Yes. Yeah, we can look into that. So I'm assuming, Tony, you have interest on your end.
Well, since we're neighbors, we'll be staring at it forever. It'd be a good idea to have
There
at
you
least know
go.
what's going on. So yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Bernice, this is Chris Morrissey.
Hi, Chris.
What has been happening? So the arena has its own transportation and parking management plan that's been in place since the arena opened. And currently, city staff and arena management staff in the Arena Authority are engaged in updating the TPMP for the arena in anticipation of it overlaying with the BART construction TPMP. So I don't know what kind of discussions you've had with the DOT in detail about this time about the construction TPMP for the arena, but I at least want to let you know that the arena TPMP is being updated in anticipation of marrying those together.
Okay, yeah, that I know Jess has brought that up a couple of times. I wasn't aware of the timing. She brought the fact that it would need to be updated and how important coordination would be. So the CTMP for downtown, I think we start on that. I want to say April or May. Adriano, do you have that off your head, top of your head?
This is
Bernice,
Erica. That's correct timing.
Is that
So we'll
okay?
be starting to work on it.
Yeah. So maybe we should just reach out, Chris, and then like talk about how we coordinate that and coordinate those efforts. And your timing is you're starting it right about the same time, or you're already starting it right now?
We started the discussions, we started dialogue last month, and we're continuing on a regular basis now.
Okay.
And Bernice, just so you know too, we have a meeting with Brian Nelson from the city next week to talk about the re-engagement efforts on that.
And Brian's leading the discussion on this, on the arena TPMP.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome. Any other questions in this section? Yes, Rod.
Bernice, this isn't a question as much as it is a caution. I think I'm on all of the DRCs, and I'm happy to be a kind of a cross-pollinator there if I can. But at the same time, it's really going to be complex, the relationship between the Diridon station, the BART station at Santa Clara Street, and high-speed rail, which is just beginning to design their access into the station area, but it's going to be a primary deliverer of ridership. So I don't know how you're going to get all that welded together. But I know you're marvelous, Bernice, and do magic things, but that's really going to be tough.
Yeah, we're working really close with the Diridon integrated. I know now they have a new name concept, like access between the intermodal station and the BART station. So we have been working side by side with them on various concepts and have been adapting as that project evolves to kind of evolving our project. And I think we've got an upcoming meeting where some of that will be discussed. And Erin, who was just speaking a couple minutes ago, has been working very closely with that team.
And I'm sorry.
She's the lead, and I said Adriano regarding the CTMP, but Erin is the lead for the Diridon station.
So Erin, can I ask you a question? Who on the city side is participating in that dialogue?
For the intermodal facility, for the
Yes.
future intermodal facility, it should be Jess Zink and Eric Island, and I think Alisara Anun is also in those conversations as well, but I'm not sure. But I know at least Eric and Jess are.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments in this section before we move on to station configuration?
Maybe one more question. Have you
Yes.
seen a concept drawing yet of the way high-speed rail is going to bring their ridership into both the Diridon station and the BART facility?
Yes, they have shared their conceptual drawings with us because they are looking at how passengers will go from the intermodal station to the BART station. And so that's what they've been sharing. They just shared some recent updated designs. And Erin, I don't know, right? We got all of their most recent ones, like what, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, just about. Yeah, so we've been taking a look at them and seeing how they work with our existing station design, what could be handled now versus would be part of the Diridon intermodal facility in the future.
Will we get a chance to see those soon?
I know that they are presenting to the Diridon, the JPAB, on February 14th, and then again in May. That's I think when they are showing. I'm not sure what detail they're going to be showing to in February, but I know that there will be showing preliminary drawings at least, and then having more detail in May.
And remember, you have one more element that we haven't talked about yet, and that's the people mover between those stations and the airport.
Yeah, and we've also been in conversations with the city about the airport mover as well to talk kind of how that interface might work, how the construction schedules might work out and their alignment. So we're monitoring that as closely as well too.
Hey, that's good luck to you. Help it.
It's definitely a big puzzle.
Sure is.
Tony, I saw that your hand was raised. Do you still have a question or comment?
No, Rod trumped me. I was concerned about the connectivity between the Diridon station and the airport as well. Just wondered if that was part of this project or it's a separate project or how that was transpiring.
Awesome. All right. I do want to move us along, but thank you, Bernice, for that phase 2 update. And thank you everyone for the comments and questions. We're going to head into our station configuration update presented by Adriano. So passing it off to you, Adriano.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. So as you might have seen posted online, we do have some updated site plan and station configuration. So I'll walk you through those today. This site plan is the prior configuration of 28th Street Little Portugal Station. This concept includes a circular station entrance building shown in the dark teal with 2 entrances, and it also includes a below ground back of house facility not shown here, but would be below the community plaza that's envisioned adjacent to the station, and includes a vent shaft in the middle of that plaza as represented by the gray circle just to the right or just south of the station entrance building. The concept also has a north vent facility shown in the northeast corner of the site, so to our left. The latest configuration keeps the circular station shaft below ground, but has a rectangular station entrance building above ground that is better aligned with the existing street network. This station entrance will still maintain access to the southwest, so to 28th Street, and to the east for patrons using the parking garage. In addition to the modifications to the station entrance building, the back of house facility has been moved to at grade. And that is shown in yellow here. This has been moved, this has been shifted back from 28th Street to allow for a future retail or TOD to come in as part of the design development framework. And that would be fronting 28th Street. As part of these modifications to the back of house and to the station entrance building, we've been able to eliminate the need for a vent shaft in the middle of the station of the community plaza. That vent is now being provided through a tower that will be part of the station building. The tower is being designed to reflect Portuguese architecture and will also serve as wayfinding for passengers accessing from Santa Clara Street. VTA is also evaluating the redesign to the north vent shaft as shown in this image. The concept shown here would provide a circular shaft that is immediately above the station, reducing the need for adits and overall depth of the facility. This concept is also being studied to see what other efficiencies can be provided, such as improved or reduced space required for the traction power substations and communication rooms. This would also detach the vent shaft from the parking garage, not shown here, which would alleviate some of the requirements for design and construction of that parking garage. Moving on to the downtown station, this plan shows the station with the platform below Santa Clara Street and two entrances on the north side of Santa Clara Street, and a vent shaft at the corner of Santa Clara and North 3rd Street. As you might have heard, VTA has studied and confirmed the elimination of the secondary station entrance previously located between 1st and 2nd Street. The latest design of the downtown station, the elimination of that second entrance was confirmed as the projected ridership could be accommodated within the primary station entrance building. And the latest design of the downtown San Jose station includes an eastern concourse within the tunnel and a knockout panel that would facilitate a future connection to a station on the south side of Santa Clara Street. The city of San Jose is continuing to study and pursue an entrance on that south side at the corner of Santa Clara and 2nd Street. Moving on to the Diridon station, this concept shows a circular station entrance building and below grade back of house facilities that would extend through much of that block between Cahill Street and Montgomery Street. This design also includes a west vent facility located at White Street and an east emergency egress facility at the corner of Santa Clara Street and Barack Obama Boulevard, both of those are shown in gray. The revised configuration changes the station entrance building from a circular to a square building above grade, which will better align with the surrounding urban environment. The back of house facilities are now shown in yellow, have been moved above grade. This significantly reduces the extent of excavation and improves access to maintenance and operational equipment. The new at-grade back of house building would also house a bike station and is being designed to accommodate a small amount of future retail TOD. Through coordination with Caltrain and other Diridon intermodal station concept partners, the above grade portion of the west vent facility at White Street has been reconfigured and shifted slightly. And the east emergency egress has been relocated to no further be in the sidewalk of Santa Clara Street, reducing overall construction impacts along the street. The Santa Clara BART station, just to orient everyone, this might be a station where this group might be less familiar with. North is to our right. At the top of the station is the existing Caltrain corridor, and Coleman Avenue is at the bottom of the image. So previously, the Santa Clara BART station was designed as an at-grade platform station that would be accessible via an elevated concourse. The elevated concourse spanned over the BART storage tracks and was provided as part of the Newhall maintenance facility, which is co-located with the station. The station was accessible from the eastern side along Champions Way, where patrons would go up to the concourse level. And for those coming from the west side and the transit center, patrons would have to go down to the existing pedestrian undercrossing, then up 2 levels to the concourse level to go back down to the ground level platform. VTA has continued to look at the station layout with passenger experience in the forefront of our minds. After further coordination with BART, who granted some deviations from BART standards, we were able to modify the track layout within the Newhall yard, which allowed us to shift the station roughly 50 feet to the south, providing sufficient room for the at-grade entrance area to be at ground level and oriented towards Brokaw Road. This change is shown, the new station entrance is shown in the dark teal near Brokaw Road. The new design eliminates the need for an elevated concourse and corresponding vertical circulation requirements to provide access over the storage tracks. The parking garage will still be over the storage tracks, and the area north of the garage, shown in yellow, is the station plaza area. So this next slide shows the previous vertical circulation. So again, passengers and cyclists would need to access the station concourse from the road level by going upstairs, escalators or elevators, and back down to the platform, again, via stairs, escalators, and elevators. When coming from the existing pedestrian undercrossing, patrons would go up 2 levels to the concourse, as shown by the purple line, and then have to come back down. Instead, this new concept, which was developed through much coordination with BART, really allows us to streamline access to the platform. As you can see, there are no longer any required escalators or elevators from Champions Way or from Brokaw Road to access the station entrance. The slight incline level / difference between the Champions Way and the station entrance can be accessed via a short flight of stairs or the gently inclining sidewalk path along Brokaw Road. There will also be elevators within the parking garage to go up to that half level. Arriving from the west, pedestrians would utilize the existing underpass like today and enter the station entrance at grade from Brokaw.
Awesome. Thank you, Adriana, for presenting those station configuration updates. I do want to open up the floor for any comments or questions with regards to this section.
Yeah, I'll take any questions you may have.
All right. Seems like Adriana did a stellar job. Again, if you do have any questions, feel free to enter it in the chat, and we can follow up on those later. But with that, I guess we can jump into our business resource program update by Bernice. So Bernice, passing it off to you.
Okay, let's go to the first slide. So another environmental commitment and a program that we on the project are very committed to is our business resource program. And the reason this program is going to be implemented is to really support small businesses during major construction. For this program, a small business is defined as any business with up to 35 employees that holds an active business license. This said for profit, but it's any business. As a reminder, by the nature of pursuing a single bore tunnel, we have reduced the street level impacts, but we certainly haven't totally eliminated them. So this program will really assist businesses during that major construction. And let's go to the next slide. So the program has 4 major elements to it. The first is signage and wayfinding. We engaged with the small business task force that we formed for the project, and we heard from the task force that having good signage and wayfinding during construction was really important to them. People being able to find their location if there was a lane closure or something, and know where to park, and how to easily access the business if the sidewalk was constrained or anything, was very, very important to them. Another item that was expressed that they could really use help with was marketing and visibility. And so we are implementing a shop local marketing campaign. And this will be really ways to promote all of the great businesses and services, whether they be business services or restaurants or any other kind of goods or services. We'll be promoting them on our website through signage and banners, and they will have an option to opt into the Shop Local marketing campaign. Another element of this program is a small business resource connections and support. We're working with the community-based organizations in the area, and we will be providing technical assistance to these small businesses. We've heard that they could use help with developing a website, with even learning how to better keep track of their books, learning how to do social media, learning how to do art for signage. So we will be engaging the community-based organizations to work with the local businesses and provide these services. And last but not least is direct financial assistance. And we are allocating approximately $2.5 million a year if it gets approved by the board. We're going to the board in March for 5 years of the major construction for direct financial assistance. And with this program, we will be taking the burden really off of the business, and we will, if the business meets the criteria, they will basically attest to impacts. They will not have to go through a laborious process when they're already stressed about their business. We will know, and if there have been specified impacts and they meet the criteria, then they'll qualify for the direct financial assistance. And there's various levels based on the duration of the impacts, anywhere from 2 weeks to more than 6 months annually. This is our schedule for the program. So right now we're at the little red star, board approval for the cost of the program. Another aspect we heard really clear was that the majority of the program costs go to support the businesses through these programs and don't go through for administration. So we are dedicating more than 80% for the program elements. Of that, the majority is the financial assistant grant program, and the rest is for those other elements, the signage, wayfinding, marketing, and technical assistance. I think that's my last slide on that, right?
Yes,
And
thank you,
happy to
Bernice.
answer any questions on the Small Business Resource Program.
And Rod, I did see your hand raised during this section, so I just wanted to make sure that if you had any question or comments, you can jump in here, and you are muted.
Just a comment from with a scar behind it. When we did the downtown transit mall on 1st and 2nd Street in the Guadalupe project, that was a complicated project, but we had more noise and discomfort from the public in regard to that 10-block long section than all the whole rest of the project put together. And so don't underestimate what you're going to get from this. It's even having reduced the impact dramatically, it's still going to be
Absolutely, not to age myself, but that was my first job role when it was county transit. I was working on that, so I remember it very clearly, and hope to be able to really implement this program that will be very responsive and really meet those business needs.
All right, thank you, Rod. And Blage, I see you have a question on your end.
I do have a quick question. Can you remind me, has the criteria already been established for the parameters, or is that something that will be established after the funding is secured?
No, we have the like criteria. We have kind of a zone, right? If you're part of it will be like proximity to the activity. And right now we have approximately 500 feet. And then we're going to add a buffer to that because we're not going to have a hard line per se. Like when I met with Supervisor Chavez, she said, well, what if you're like 1 block away? Like we are going to really look at what the impacts are and your proximity to those. And so we're augmenting that with a buffer. And then the criteria is basically like if it's based on the construction activities that are happening. So if we've closed a lane or we've blocked your entrance, or like there are the criteria, and I can get those for, I don't have them all memorized, but like we know what the project is imposing on that area. So basically we know, rather than them say, oh, this and this happened to me, we know what the project activities are. And then if you've been exposed to those, then you would qualify for that. And you just have to attest basically that those activities have impacted you. But it's really more like if we've impacted parking, we've done lane closures, anything like if you're an online business, then it might not apply for you, but anybody that relies on foot traffic or automobile traffic to come support their business and we've had an impact, then you would basically qualify.
Thanks, Bernice. Appreciate that.
May I again, Bernice?
Sure.
Yes.
The biggest trip generator anywhere in the South Bay area is San Jose State University. And it's right there. And is there any way that you can streamline the access for the students, either through the city complex or in some dedicated pathway around the city complex to the stations to encourage the students and make it smooth? You could have tens of thousands of students in the morning coming using that access, students and professors.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things when Adriano just went over those station site plans, benefit of elimination of that secondary head house is that we aren't going to impact the light rail system. So that will be a huge boon for San Jose State. And right now we're still working on that CTMP that applies to that area. So we haven't identified the exact means and methods, but we did put in some pretty stringent requirements for the contractor about the level of impact that they could have. So as far as San Jose State students and the commute, obviously we're looking at all modes of transportation and especially our transit system and don't want to impact that. And I know I want to say like 30% of San Jose State students, Charlie, you might be able to correct me, use public transit to get to the school. So
A little higher than that, but yes, that's right.
Is it higher than that? Okay.
Yeah.
So we're definitely trying to make sure that we impact that the least amount as possible. So that is a major consideration for San Jose State students in how their mobility might be affected.
Thank you.
And we will definitely be getting input when we do that CTMP. And that is one way that we can address that.
Appreciate the question, Rod. Thank you.
That's my university.
Ours, all of ours.
Mine too.
Thanks for that. Any other questions with regards to business resource program before we move along? All right. Thanks, Bernice, and thanks everyone for the questions and comments. I'm going to pass it off to Erica to present an update for our early construction activities.
Thank you. So you all should have received an email, but exciting news. The VTA has purchased the tunnel boring machine last fall for the project. The $76 million TBM will be one of the largest machines ever to be built, about 54 feet in diameter. It will be assembled and created in Germany and then disassembled and shipped here to Santa Clara, where it will be reassembled on site at VTA's New Hill Yard property, where the tunnel will launch. And we will be having a TBM naming contest in advance of the arrival of the TBM, taking into consideration those ideas that were put forth in the Mercury News's contest that they held as well. So stay tuned to learn more about the contest. Kristen will be sure to distribute details about it out to the group when we have that up and running. Next slide. Just want to give an update also on the early construction activities anticipated start. So we anticipate in this next quarter of 2024 for those early construction activities to begin. These are the first 2 years of activities that we've been talking to you about for the last almost year or so ago, from when we had our public meeting of what we anticipate the grading and the development of the site, the construction of the tunnel lining factory and the operation of it to start fabricating the tunnel boring machine lining segments and the storage of those. And there will be the excavation of the shaft and the construction of the tunnel boring machine before it launches will all happen in the early construction time period for the first 2 years. In addition, we will be working on a groundbreaking event that will be scheduled and that will let you all CWG members know about as it gets closer. So brief update as of now for early construction activities, but more details coming soon, and we'll be sure to give you additional details when we have them as far as timing. Happy to take any questions.
Erica.
Yeah.
Tony.
Yeah, back to Charlie and our friends at San Jose State. Has there been any efforts to potentially do some learning opportunities with the design and engineering groups over at San Jose State? They got a terrific civil engineering program there. And this is, once in a lifetime type stuff, but any kind of coordination efforts that have been started with this college?
So I'm going to weigh in here because I did several presentations to the engineering department a couple of years ago. And I think Adriano just did one. And I know that we've been trying to share, there's a lot of unique aspects of the project related to engineering. And Adriano, I don't know if you want to comment on the recent presentation, but I think that was just in end of November or something.
Yeah,
and
that's right. In November, we presented to the Chi Epsilon Honor Society, which is an engineering honor society, and that focused really on the seismic and geotechnical work that is associated with this project.
Yeah, and when I would go out with one of the engineers. I would do what I did today, sort of the general project update, so they would kind of know what the project was comprised of, and then the technical engineering experts would do the technical aspects of the presentation. I can't remember the dean of the engineering department, but she used to always reach out to us, and we would present probably at least 2 times each semester.
It's Cheryl Ehrman, and you can get a hold of her directly or through me, and highly recommended not just to go through the student group, but to go through the dean's office, right? And she can engage the faculty to get them to participate, not just the students.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, I think we were doing quite a bit of that, and then COVID hit, and then we just sort of started doing it again. But it's definitely very valuable for us seeing these future engineers and the future of projects like this, and then them sort of. We always receive lots of input like that. It really helped them better understand how they might apply their skills in the future, right? And all the different facets of an engineering degree, right? Because there's a civil part of the project, there's the like Adriano said, the geotechnical part. So yeah, they were always great sessions.
Thank you,
Tony. Thanks, Charlie.
Well done, Tony.
Thanks. I'd like to throw a shameless plug in for the Santa Clara Broncos too, go Broncos, because that engineering program is pretty awesome as well. Smaller, but I think it'd really be great to do something even during construction, maybe periodically doing some kind of site review. And certainly to Charlie's point, the professors can do some incredible lesson planning off of this real-time stuff. And then the kids can see it. I mean, it's fantastic and a great lifetime opportunity.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on this early construction activity section before we move on? All right, if nothing else, Tony, I think your hand is just raised. I'm going to lower your hand for now. All right, we will move on to our CWG work plan review and discussion. So wanted to share our 2024 draft work plan for this downtown Diridon CWG group. And as a reminder, this work plan is subject to change according to project milestones that are ever evolving. We're planning on having our 4 meetings in February, in May, September, and November of this year. But again, if there's a specific need or project milestone that arises, we may have additional meetings to come. And this year, I did want to highlight that we are gearing up for construction, as you've heard. We'll be looking to have some updates presented, mainly focusing on our phase 2 program updates and the milestones that are paired with that in the different respective months. So with regards to FTA funding, like Bernice mentioned, there's a focus on the FFGA, the full funding grant agreement this year, and then also some contracting updates, some real estate updates sprinkled in there. And then also a focus on our construction updates. So our CTMPs, looking to have an update, especially for the work that's happening in the 28th Street area in the spring, and then historic buildings and building monitoring updates where applicable, as well as general construction project milestones. So a lot of things on the horizon when it comes to our various construction activities. And then, as you have heard in the past as well, we've been making an effort to kind of be engaged with our community, attending many various events throughout the year and also in our different station areas. So we'll be providing updates on that. And then, as Bernice had mentioned earlier, we are focusing on project advocacy this year. And so that's something that you'll hear more on and hear more of how you can partner with us as well in that effort. And then business resource program will also be a large focus in that community engagement section this year, as well as our general outreach and engagement updates and design review committee meetings. So those are on the horizon. And our station area planning and adjacent developments and projects, also just keeping in touch with the cities with regards to city planning efforts and updates, as well as our TOD work at VTA. So we'll also be partnering with government affairs, hoping to provide an update on just general pulse related to our project to come at the end of the year. So this is what we have for now. It's again a working work plan that's ever evolving throughout the year, but I did want to open up the floor to see if anyone had any thoughts or comments on the topics that we have slated ahead of us this year. All right. And again, if you have any additional comments, I did email this out last week, so please feel free to reach out to me directly if there's any topics that you've been hearing from your communities that are top of mind. Always open to suggestions and would love to hear. So, and with that, I'm going to move on to our next section. If there's no comments or questions. And as mentioned earlier, with regards to our downtown Diridon CWG chair, Fred Buzo, who was our chair, is no longer here. So there is a vacancy for this group for that role. But I did want to run through this slide as a reminder for those of you that are relatively new to just go over the roles of the CWG and the members. So the role just really to be project liaisons, not just receive briefings on technical areas, but also to share it with your communities at large and build a greater understanding of our BSV Phase 2 project. And then also partnering and collaborating with VTA and ultimately contributing to the successful delivery of this project. And then your role as a member, really just attending those meetings that we have 4 times a year and also informing yourselves and disseminating that information to your communities, acting as conduits, and also being honest and providing feedback as you all have been doing. So appreciate your partnership and participation thus far. And then specific to our downtown Diridon CWG chair role, we are looking for a CWG member to step into the role of this downtown Diridon CWG chair. And the CWG chair will be working closely with VTA just to set up meeting agendas and play an integral role in sharing focused feedback from other CWG members, and as well as the community back to the project team. And just to give you a little bit of context on the time commitment, this will take around 10 hours per year total. So not a huge commitment on your end. And we do ask that you consider potentially stepping into this role, because we'd love to partner with you and also get a sense of your community as well. So with that, I do want to open up the floor and see if there's anybody who would like to nominate themselves, or perhaps nominate someone else in this group as a CWG member to step into this chair role.
Kristen, may I?
Yes.
Hi. I've worked with Tony Miranda on a lot of different things, and he is especially appropriate since he is kind of liaison with the Chamber of Commerce. I think he ought to be chair.
Thank you for those kind words. Tony, do you have any thoughts on that nomination?
Well, humbled by that, Mr. Diridon. Yes, based on what you just laid out as far as time commitment, I'm sure it'll be a little more than 10 hours, but I would be interested in representing the group if that's what the will of the group is.
All right. Well, I will be in coordination with you, Tony, and appreciate your willingness to step into this role. And just a heads up that we do have coordination calls before our CWG meetings, but beyond that, it's nothing extensive. So 10 hours is pretty much as I stated. I appreciate your partnership.
That part's going to be great. I can see the chamber as a great conduit to get the information out. So we're going to work kind of closely with you, similar to what we're doing with the Coalition of Chambers right now with that little education thing coming up next month. I think the awareness piece is going to be critical, because the businesses that I've tapped into up and down this street have been petrified about this project. The fact it's going below grade is significant, but there are a number of historic structures, our building being one on that teetering edge, that I am curious about the technical aspects of monitoring and what happens with settlement, because we've seen that in the street without a big hole in it. So all those technical things have come up, I think, with various vendors and business people that we've talked to. But if we can get good, concise, clear information and be proactive with disseminating that, that's what I think we'd really like to do as a chamber.
Awesome. And this is great, Tony, because this is exactly what we want to hear. We want to hear what, the topics are, the areas of concern are in the community. And so hearing that directly from you and getting a pulse on that is going to be super important. So excited to partner with you, and I will send out more details to come.
Thank you.
All right. I do want to jump into our regular CWG member report out, but before I do, I did want to share that we've updated and revamped 6 of our project fact sheets, and we'd love to partner with you as we launch and distribute these resources. So I will be following up later this week just to share links to these fact sheets with you, so you can distribute and share them with your communities just to keep them updated on the project and see some movement and exciting action. So we do have our project benefits brochure, our overview benefits fact sheet, and our 4 station fact sheets that will be shared your way towards the end of this week. Appreciate your partnership in this.
Will you let us know when that's available so we could forward it on?
Yes, I will be emailing out.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks. And then now comes to the time where we have our CWG member report out. So if there's anyone who has something that they've been hearing from their communities or would love to share how you've been sharing the informations with regards to this project with your community, we'd love to hear. So if anyone would like to go around I'll open the floor to you. Yes, Alan.
The only feedback I've gotten when we talk about this is especially talking about the TBM construction getting started on the West Portal there. And there's some folks that are excited to get the tour. So it's not just people like us, but I think it's going to be a general interest among a lot of folks. So I'm not sure if there's something you could do to accommodate that other than just the groundbreaking, but that might be interesting just to get some good PR for the project.
Thanks for that. We'll note that. Tony.
Yeah, I think another thing would be great. I think I saw original shots of it, but if there's a way to develop, even if it's a rough plan for construction logistics and staging, especially at the locations of the stations, because I'm sure the footprint of that is going to be fairly substantial. That can tap into other businesses as well. It'd be great to see if there's just preliminary ideas about that, so we can begin to work with our small businesses and see if there's impact, or trying to get them again aware of what is coming.
We should be covering most of that in the CTMPs. So once we get that one for Diridon and downtown, those should really cover a lot of that, and we will be very diligent about circulating that, right, and getting input. When we had the public meeting, basically the purpose was to get input on what the plan was, right, and adjust accordingly if we could.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Bernice. I'm sure a lot of people don't go to those, but we have conduits that we can push the information to them so that they're aware. That was my idea, to just keep people aware.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That is the whole reason we connect with the CWGs and everything, for that very reason.
Awesome. Anything else? Yeah, Chris.
Yeah. So besides this, the working group that's currently together, that's working on the Arena TPMP in anticipation of the BART TPMP. I always provide the Arena Authority Board with an update when we meet, and we're going to be seeing VTA reps at the Arena Authority's April meeting to provide an update as well. So we look forward to seeing you there then. So thank you.
Thanks for having us. All right. Anyone else? Okay, I will move us along. So our next meeting, as I mentioned, is May 16th. We'll see you then, but do stay tuned for any updates and meetings that I'll be sending out, because there's a lot of project updates even in between. In our May meeting, we will be presenting a phase 2 update and construction update and community engagement update. And we'll also assess, depending on the timing, just what project milestones pop up as well.
So
And then,
this is May 16th, not May 14th on Tuesday. Normally meetings on Tuesday.
Sorry, yes, May 14th. Thank you for catching that.
Okay.
Thanks, Alan. And then I did also want to mention that there will be an adjacent community meeting for the beneficial reuse of excavated material entitled Marsh Restoration Project, actually happening both tonight and tomorrow night. And tonight's meeting will be held virtually through Zoom, actually in a few hours. And the in-person meeting will be held tomorrow in person at the LVSO branch library. So if you would like to learn more, you can feel free to scan the QR code on the screen. And this actually has to do with the excavated material that will be taken from our site and used in the beneficial reuse project. So if you're interested, feel free to join in. But this actually concludes our presentation and discussion for tonight. And I do appreciate you all joining in and for the active engagement. And I see, Chris, you have a comment before we hop off.
It was really just a question.
Yes.
Historically, you've sent the slide deck in advance of the meeting, and for some reason, it didn't come this time. So I'm wondering if you could, at least I didn't get it. So I was wondering if you could send the slide deck out.
Yes, so we were waiting for a few things to be finalized, but as I mentioned earlier, I'll be sending them out after the meeting. So
Thank you.
you'll have that. Awesome. All right. If there's nothing else, then we will adjourn early, but thank you all for joining and see you in May or sometime in between.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, everybody.
Yes,
Kyle. Nice
thank
to
you
see you
all.
Okay.
So take care.
Good job.